Let's get ready to rumble! We are live, and I haven't said this for a very long time. Welcome back to Lessons for Life. I've been a busy guy. I've got Camille with me. Camille,
Yeah.
however you like to say it. He's from Wahda, which is another YouTube channel, and the link is in the description. Be sure to subscribe to his channel. Camille, thank you very much for joining me, mate.
Thank you. How are you? Thank you for having
Welcome
me.
along. Yeah, I'm good. What made you want to talk about whether woke is a joke? That's my tabloid version of it. You actually said, what did you say? Has woke gone too far?
Something like that. Was
What's your
wokeness
problem
gone
with
mad?
what's your problem with the woke lot? Do you not like the liberals? Are you a Trump
Nah, nah,
supporter?
no, not really. I think there's various issues where being woke, where it originally started from, was standing up for racial and social injustice. And I
Hmm.
think for me, I think it's almost kind of manifested itself into its own, not political entity, but an entity in which it's kind of rivals of ideas, if that makes sense. Where if you say something out of line and that leads on to counterculture and stuff like that, and you're kind of standing up for certain issues that
Okay.
are being put on par with with issues that may be not more importance, but like for example, putting the like your video of the Cadbury's cream egg, and
Yes.
yeah, check that out by the way. That
Thank you.
so you have
Yeah,
that.
this is an advert
Mm,
which was very woke, so to speak. That's how I described it. That's how the press described it, and it was featuring couples, uh, including gay couples, including what else was in there? It was like a broad section of society, and it included
mm,
some kind of graphic scenes of the same-sex couple that some people had a really uh, a repulsion to, and others said, "Well, come on, we see straight couples in media all the time. Isn't it time we saw a gay couple?" But it's
mm,
as you said, has it gone too far? Do we
yeah,
really need to see gay couples doing intimate acts with a cream egg that you wouldn't really see straight people do?
this is
Or
it.
would you? Am I being biased? Am I being homophobic
No, I don't
to
think you
imagine
are.
that?
I think in a lot of cases, and like with this advert particularly, I think it's just where corporations, big companies, they see woke as a way to improve their PR,
Okay.
and
So
rather than
Cadbury's don't really care about gay people. They're just cashing in on them.
it seemed, you can argue it is. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not, but it's present in a lot of in society a lot. If you look in the Premier League with the taking the knee for Black Lives
Hmm.
Matter.
Okay.
And if you look at how that began after the murder of George Floyd,
Yep.
and it was important to be done. It was trying to raise awareness for racial injustice, and
Hmm.
it was good, refreshing to see it. But you do that, what's next? Because you can't be taking a knee for years and years and not do anything on it. You know what I mean? And I think that's why you've seen players like Wilfred Zaha and people like that who've kind of stood up and said, "We're taking a knee for what?" Because you're saying, "Oh, it's important to raise awareness and do this and that and educate people," but there's no education being done because you're still seeing the same racism, you're still seeing the same prejudices that are going on social media in the street. So there's not really any progression being
Okay.
made, but it's just people
Okay.
aware.
I get you. So I think you're probably with a lot of the causes
Hmm.
that the woke brigade
Oh,
are
definitely.
banging on about, but you think their actions are actually counterproductive or are holding
Yeah.
us back? What is taking the knee doing? We've done it enough times now. What else could be done to better the situation for black people in America and elsewhere?
Well, I think we people say education, and that's a very, very broad statement. And I think I can only speak for this country, is where I live. So for me, I think first of all, I think we need to change the curriculum. I think we need to teach a more contemporary curriculum, a more
Hmm.
a curriculum that that like looks at the room, if that makes sense. Like sees the people that are being taught in these schools. We're seeing a more
Well,
cosmopolitan
mhm.
audience.
Well,
Is it-
here's a school on the screen now. The Pimlico
yeah.
Academy will amend the racist uniform policy and take down the flag. And this
Mm,
was brought about by kind of student action. I think they got together
yeah.
and protested, and then the headmaster in the end caved in. What's wrong with having the British flag though in Britain?
Um, I think the British flag means different things to different people because
Hmm.
if you're of a certain generation who's brown or black, I don't like to say the word people of color. That's another issue. We can talk about that another
Okay,
day.
we can talk about that. Okay.
Um, but yeah, if you got British flags, maybe someone who grew up in the 80s or the 70s, to them, the British flag is a symbol of nationalism, a symbol of racism, because certain groups adopted that flag, donned the flag. So it's quite intimidating.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, in the same way that the English Defence League, the BNP, these far right groups are kind of using the England flag. So when you're walking down the street and you see a pub with the England flag, you cross the road. You don't walk past that pub, and that's kind of something that's instilled within this generation. And I think it was the same with the the British flag in that generation.
Hmm. Yeah, it is a difficult one. Do we need a new flag? Maybe.
Um, I'm not gonna say anything on that.
Okay, no, no
Because
problem.
for me, I think I'm gonna speak for myself in the sense. For me, um, I think Britishness is something that I've always kind of had to deal with. Like it's kind of caused not an identity crisis, but it was kind of something that I had to kind of deal with in a way because I had this strong Pakistani heritage, and then you're trying
Yeah.
to fit in a way.
So,
But
if I can ask a couple of personal questions,
yeah,
are you your folks are from Pakistan?
yeah.
Mum and dad born there or born here?
Both born there, but one of them was we grew up here.
Okay, and you were born here.
Yeah.
Are you English?
Am I English? What do you mean by that?
Good. Well, there's a great question. David Lammy is English, and he is of a Caribbean background.
Yeah.
And he was praised for responding to LBC caller who said he was not English. So this woman phoned up LBC and she said, "No, you're not English, David Lammy. You're Caribbean because his parents come from the Caribbean." And he said, "No, no, I'm English because I'm born here." Now
Oh,
you're born here. I ask you if you're English. You're not sure.
mm.
I'm guessing you are British.
Again, for me, it's a tough one because when I say British, am I, if from a personal perspective, when I say if I'm British, then I'm accepting that I'm part of the same country that colonized half the world, and we saw what happened in the empire. Do you know what I mean? And that's just something for me. I'm not saying that's what everyone should think. I'm not saying that's what's right or wrong. I think that's just in the way that I've kind of educated myself and kind of my experiences with racism and things like that. It kind of made me lean more towards my Pakistani side rather than Britishness, if that makes sense. And that's just a very personal thing for me in
Okay.
terms of what I've kind of experienced in my life.
All right. Look, and I think identity, ethnicity, we've all just filled the census out. It's about what you describe yourself as. PK is chiming in with Chris Eubank. Cue my great impression. I'll do it later. The most English man ever. What color is he? Chris Eubank is quintessentially English, isn't he? He's got the monocle and the
Yeah.
cane. All right, I'll do it then. Quitters never win, and winners never quit. But did he maybe suffer racism and feel not English enough and say, you know what, I'm going to be even more English than you?
Mm.
Is he rubbing it in the Englishman's face by not only becoming the British champion, but a world champion, bringing a world title back to Great Britain? He did it in the style of an Englishman,
Yeah.
where although he did a lot of training in New York, actually, I think America,
Mm.
his American experience actually turned him into a boxer. He lived in New York
Yeah.
and trained there and competed in the is it the Golden Gloves in America?
Yeah.
But all right, he's a typical Englishman. In fact, he's back in America now. Actually, he's gone to live in America to
Mm.
be a sheriff. Did he become more English than the English because of the racism? And the other famous English guy whose parents came from abroad is, of course, Hellboy racist Tommy Robinson, whose family are all from Ireland. There's nothing English about him other than the fact that he was born in England. So
Mm.
Tommy Robinson, the head of the English Defence League, is as English as you or David Lammy or myself, because he's from an immigrant background. But we do have this tendency to go too far, and a lot of the religious fanatic extremists tend to come from very sort of liberal families, and they say, "Oh, I can't believe my son's gone too extreme," because he
Mm.
saw one extreme that he didn't like, and he tried to sort it out by going to another extreme. When really, it's best to be in the middle, be on the wasat, and live the middle path, as Buddha said. And you can be British and be Pakistani, but I can understand how someone whose heritage is from Pakistan feels more at home, or maybe feels closer to that identity when it was
Mm.
Britain that took over, conquered Pakistan, partitioned it. It would have still been part of India had it not been for the Raj and the occupation. But having said that, as someone with a British passport and an English accent, when I went to Pakistan, the people loved me, welcomed me, and even being at a police station, the authorities were almost quite proud of the British Empire. And they were like,
Mm.
"Oh, this police station has been here since British Empire. Look at the picture." They had kind of imagery on the wall that was kind of reminiscing about the empire. So, of
Yeah.
course, the empire did a lot of bad, but it did some good, like the irrigation
Yeah.
system. And I think Pakistani people remember that. They remember the good and the bad, and different people will have their different
Yeah.
take on it. I feel that you resonate with that.
100%. And I think it's important to always, in all these things, you have to look at the balance. That yes, things that the empire did were bad, of course, but it'd be wrong to completely dismiss certain things that the
Mhm.
empire did that were good. Maybe whether they balance it out is a different thing. Personally, I don't think they did, but it's still wrong to completely dismiss certain things that they did that may have benefited the
Yeah.
countries that they invaded.
Yeah, that's very fair comment. And I generally am of the opinion that empire is not a good idea. I think empires usually oppress people, abuse
Mm.
them, and take all their money, or their minerals and their assets. Asma was saying, had it not been for the British, the so-called Pakistan would not be existing. Okay, Asmil, there's an inflammatory statement. Imran Qureshi, he sounds Pakistani, and he's a good friend of mine. He says, "Nice show, bro. Appreciate it." Um, and 33X had an interesting comment. Please inform your BBC Brit-born confused guest, even Pakistan ruled Bangladesh and Azad Kashmir. Look at the infighting now. But I'll let you deal with that statement. Has
Um,
Pakistan ruled Kashmir unfairly?
yeah, you can argue so. I'm be honest with you, like um, I'm not the sort of person who's gonna just sit and say because I'm from a certain country that everything they do is perfect and things like that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, it's very true. You're right what you're saying. And yeah, and for me, it kind of links back to the idea of wokeness and things like this, where if you raise awareness or you criticize something that you're wrong, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I think particularly with like people like David Lammy and I remember listening to that actually, and it was kind of raising awareness and criticizing certain parts of this country and the government, etc. And people come out and saying that, oh, you're wrong for this, that, or you're not really English, you're not really British, that you're criticizing this country. But I think if anything, is someone who cares is someone who criticizes because you want the best for a country, you want the
Yeah.
best for these, you want the best for these causes. So you want to make it as good as possible. Hence why you will criticize and you try and look for faults where you can improve.
Yeah, absolutely. You've reminded me of a quote that I had lined up. let's have a look. Have we reached the ultimate stage of absurdity where some people are held responsible for things that happened before they were born, while other people are not held responsible for what they themselves are doing? Is that what the woke brigade are doing? That was from Thomas Sowell.
You can argue so.
So British people today being made to feel guilty for perhaps the Raj and the occupation of India and Pakistan. I even heard a story recently of boys in assembly being asked to apologize to girls because of rapes that were committed by men in general. I mean, there's something not right about that, I think.
Yeah.
Laying the blame. I mean, let's talk. Let's go there. Toxic masculinity. Is that something that the woke ideology has kind of forced us to accept?
Yeah, you can say so. I think toxic masculinity, where it's kind of portraying all men in a very bad way, like you were talking about the two kids in the assembly who had to apologize for the rapes that were happening.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that completely, because what's happening as a result of that? Who's that really benefiting? If anything, it's just
And
a pointless
when the
exercise.
Sarah Everard case
Mm.
happened, there was well, I don't think it was an MP, but perhaps in the House of Lords, a woman said, "Oh, I think we should have a curfew on men after 6 p.m." Kind of doing this complete blanket blaming of all men for something that one man did, and it was a police officer that did it. You could equally say, well, all police officers are
Yeah.
then abusers, or all white. It was a white person. Maybe all white people. I know some people will agree with that. Maybe all white people should be locked up. And I think that's where the woke agenda, if I can call it that, has made it all about identity first, right? And not people talk about Marxism and oh, they're Marxist. Karl Marx said, "Workers of the world unite." He was on about class. He wanted you to work together and unite, whether you were black, white, gay, straight, whatever, to get a better deal for the workers, which is pretty much all of us. I mean, I work. I have to work or I don't eat. I'm sure you're the same. We're a worker, and if we unite together, we can get a better deal for all of us. But while we're bogged down in fighting about who's got white privilege, who's got male privilege, isn't that going to hold us back?
I don't necessarily think it does. I think if we want to get, for example, with white privilege, I think if we do want to get into a post-racial society, an anti-racist society, then I think we need to acknowledge that there's a discrepancy, that white people do have a privilege in some sense. That whether it's getting a job, when you go for a job interview and you get the job over the black guy who's as qualified, if not more qualified than you, these sort of things. I think it's important to be aware of that and acknowledge your privilege, and then use it in a way where you can stand.
Well, to prove I'm not racist. To prove I'm not racist, I'm inviting only Asian guys onto the stream tonight. Here's another one. Welcome, Omar. Hi, bro.
Thank you very much.
What do you make of all this?
You for having me on.
You're part of the woke brigade, aren't you? Are you a toxic male? Omar he might have a bad internet. I'm going to run a clip while Omar sorts his connection out. This is a candidate in America, Arizona, who's part of the liberal agenda, and let's see what he's all about.
I want to put all of that emphasis on my policies, on saving our schools, on giving our teachers competitive pay, on banning private prison contracts in Arizona. These are the things that are really important to me. Hopefully someone will just get used to the fact that I'm also a queer Muslim, but that's not what this campaign is about.
That's not what it's about. So he's a queer Muslim who happens to be on board with a lot of very liberal, I would say quite good ideas funding education. Sounds like a Miss World speech, doesn't it? I believe that education is good, but why? What? It must be a factor that he's a not well. He appeared to be a white queer Muslim, and some of the people on the right in America have sensed that the gay community or the LGBTQ, I forget all the letters now, are somehow teaming up with the Muslims to usher in this new woke liberal Biden, who's an old white man, America, where whitey is going to be last place from now on, and all the other minority genders and identities are finally going to be given a fair crack of the whip. And I'll just let you lot react to that. Maybe bring Omar in. Would you vote for that chap that happens to be a queer Muslim?
Before I comment on that, a more important comment would be to your guest here tonight. I find it slightly surprising, and I'm going to be fair to you because I'm not sure if it's just your thinking or if it's the thinking of your generation, that you said I can't link myself to this country because of the atrocities. If that's the case, then you can't link yourself also to Islam because of the Islamic atrocities that we have currently. What the oppression of the empire was hundreds of years ago. The oppression in this case, if it's Islamic, is currently taking place all over the world, not only just in some colonization or colonized lands, but it's taking place literally everywhere. So I think it's unfair to see the ordinary white folk walking down the road and say, hey, I can't link myself to this country because of what this country did. No, sir, that's wrong. You need to link yourself to this country, and the past is the past. You need to focus on the present, and you need to focus on the future.
Yeah, it's a great point. Thank you for saying it. And I think it's definitely something like I'm 18, so everything's a learning curve, and it's about growing and understanding.
Sorry, I thought you were. Yeah. Sorry for being harsh on you. I thought you were a lot older. I think everyone has a beard now, so it's very difficult to make a correct judgment. I thought you were about 30.
But yeah, and
so it's what takes place nowadays, and I understand. I was young. I was 18 once too, a very long time ago, and for me, I thought exactly like you thought. I thought, hey, but my experiences were different. I went through a very rough childhood, and I could so many issues and so many problems, and there was never any assistance. And I guess instead of trying to make that change, I just blamed the society and blamed everything on the white man. And blame everything, although they were blameworthy, the injustice that was meted out upon the minorities. Keep in mind, this is the 80s and early 90s. You think it's bad now? You can't even imagine the hell that we were involved in those days.
100%.
So I use that. I use that thinking. Blame white people for everything. Blame society. They didn't help us when it was our own Muslim people or Pakistanis that they were the biggest oppressors. I unfairly judge the white people, and I'm asking you to kind of decline from that sort of thinking, and then carry on and convey this message to all your youth. Also, I would say that's just my opinion.
I think maybe I worded it quite a bit wrong, because I think for me, I'm not gonna say that I blame the white man for the atrocities. That's not what I'm saying. I think because the way I try to be is have conversations with people, I'm trying to say, regardless of color, because that's how you get into a more progressive society. That's how you progress.
Well, luckily, Britain's not racist anymore, as you can see here. Number 10 race advisor quits amid UK report downplaying structural racism. Apparently, it's all been solved, Omar. Did you see that story? We are not institutionally racist anymore.
Yes, and that's a story that I agree with. I don't know why there is so much focus given on this. More focus should be given on the abuse that is imputed upon women, the hell that they have to go through when a poor girl,
Really?
Sarah
You think
was
sexism
just
is
walking
worse
home.
than racism at the moment?
Yeah,
Harder
and
to be a
sadly,
woman
look
than a black man in the UK.
how many people have died in the last decade through racism? How many women have been killed through sexism and abuse and
Well,
sexual abuse?
it's a fair point. They talk about what's the word for it when femicide, when a man kills a woman. It's a common form of murder, but more men are murdered than women. I'll remind you of that. Here's Doreen Lawrence. That's of course Stephen Lawrence's mother. Says no. Number 10 report gives racists the green light. Yeah, do reports that say racism might statistically not be as prevalent give racists the opportunity to say, see what you're complaining about, you're no more disadvantaged than I am.
I'm just saying we live in a great country. If you want to do anything, literally anything, no matter what class, even if you're working class trash, no matter what you want to do, you have the ability in this country to do it. You mentioned Pakistan.
Do you really
I
think
heard
that?
Imran Khan.
You really believe that, Omar?
I truly, genuinely believe that a person with a phone and an internet connection, that they can even have that at the library. Don't even need
You
to
don't
purchase
think
that.
an Islamic sounding name on a job application puts your letter to the bottom of the pile, for example?
No, if you're the best, well, if it does, then you should keep on applying and improving yourself when they have no opportunity but to hire you. Be the best in that bunch.
But do you have to be even better than Joe Bloggs or John Smith just to get a fair crack of the whip?
So what? The black people were being lynched and mobbed, and there was Paki bashing just taking place 4 years ago. Who cares if your job application becomes a bit, decreased in the whole entire thing? And I just want to say the UK, no, seriously, it's a great place to live. And if you look at Sajid Khan, I heard Imran Khan say this, and I may be mixing up his name. I am. Sadiq Khan.
Sajid Javid, you mean?
Sajid Javid. His father
or
was
Sadiq Khan. Are you talking about the mayor of London?
Well, they both were bus drivers. Both their fathers were bus drivers.
Diversity.
And Imran Khan's own words, he said, in Pakistan, you can't even think this, that a son of a driver could become a politician or a human rights lawyer or the mayor of London. You can't even think it. Forget doing it. You can't even think it. So this is a great country. Opportunity is available for everyone. But if we sit around and blame everyone, and as the minister, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, close the door and excuses. We have to move forward. We can't stay stuck anymore.
All right. Well, Dante VX is saying UK is massively anti-white now. Okay, interesting. Here's some anti-white rhetoric coming out of Paris. White people should be asked to keep quiet and be silent spectators. Whites must keep quiet when racism is discussed. I'm guessing you guys don't agree with that. Omar, do white people have a right to...
It's funny, when it comes time to answer a question, your guest disappears.
I don't know. It's the internet connection. I apologize for that.
No, on the contrary.
It's racist.
No, I think
the
algorithms are racist. No, I think everyone has a right to an opinion. White people have the right to say what they want. It's their experiences also that count, not just ours, I would say.
I mean, yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, it would be weird to say, oh, non-Muslims shouldn't have a say when Islamophobia is being discussed. Why are people surprised that most people have in-group preference? This is from PK. This is common amongst the majority of people around the world. Yeah, we do. I mean, that's how we evolved into nations and tribes, isn't it? And families. We have in-group preference. Let's watch another little clip, and we'll get a little bit of discussion on it. This is someone who fulfills quite a few of the categories or the minority categories that we were talking about.
It's time to really include marginalized folks within fashion in big ways. That's why I'm working so hard to become a model, so that in my wheelchair, being trans, black, and disabled, feminine, I can walk runways like Gucci and Prada and Dior and Maison Margiela and all the big runways, because there's no reason not to.
So I use my art as a way to sort of draw attention to some of the issues that I face navigating harassment on the daily as a gender nonconforming person, but then also to tell my own story of triumph and resilience amidst all of that violence.
I think time to really.
So that first individual described herself, I think that's the right pronoun, as trans, black, and disabled, and she wants to become a model. Why not? I couldn't find an example of a more, and she used the term marginalized member of society. Is it woke going too far to say, okay, you can be a model? Are we patronizing people here, or do disabled people have a much right to see people that look like them on TV and in magazines? But how are we going to, if we start trying to include everyone, how far are we going to take it? There's like over 99 genders, as you know. You're going to run out of pages in the magazine.
Well, I think anyone can be
You're
a model.
back with us.
You might be shocked to,
go on, Omar.
you might be shocked to know that I too was a model at one time. So I think
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Not for ugly people.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I
Wow.
simply
Gosh, no.
I simply
Gosh,
was.
Yeah.
I was at a chicken shop once, and somebody just came to me and said, "Look, can I start taking pictures?
You
of
are the
I
face.
love your jacket."
Wow.
Well, no, it was. I think they were more focused on the jacket, if I'm honest.
No, really.
And so they
Okay.
started to take pictures and say, "Look, would you like to come?" and so on. So I had my little 15-minute of fame. But I think seeing what you just showed on the screen, I just thought back to when I was 18 and how normal it would have been to mock that person and those people. It would have been the teacher would have done it. Everyone would have done it. And I'm so happy that today those poor people, because we don't know what hell that they have gone through in their lives. We know nothing about them. But what we do know is they are loud and they are proud, and we should encourage that. And I'm so happy to see the young man and no one else really mocking those people anymore.
Young lady, yeah, and HK Stocks is saying cheeky Nando's. Fair enough. Let's watch another clip. This is I mean, we're talking social justice warriors, aren't we? And these lot are about to get a bit aggressive.
He's not leaving America, so now we have to make them leave forcibly. That's what Trump wants.
So you're against Trump because you think he's going to put people in concentration camps in the U.S.?
I think so. I love my Hispanic brothers.
Have you ever looked at the news or anything?
Huh?
Have you ever looked at anything?
I mean, a little bit, but I'm like,
Yo, Joe, save your urine. We're going to throw it at the cops. If I hear someone, talking about making America great again or supporting our president or saying that he is legitimate, I often use this and I just beat them over the head with it until they cry for mercy.
Resist, brothers, sisters, brothers. This is Camacho with Arizona Antifa. Today I would like to talk to you about some ways to stay safe in case you run across some Nazis while you're protesting. The Nazis like to use pepper spray to get us to abide by their Nazi rules. So what you can do is have with you at any given time, carry milk with you.
I mean, I don't know if some of these are parodies. I believe they're actually genuine people. I tried to go for the most extreme examples I could because Camille had said, woke has gone too far. Are these the right clips, Camille? Is this what you were alluding to when you said woke has gone too far?
I think so. I think because if you looked at the woman who had the piece of wood in her hand saying that anyone who votes or something, I'm gonna beat them with this. I don't think that's how you want to get to where you want to get to. If you're trying to saying that you want to make America great, and if that's their position politically, you need to sit down and have a conversation about why you believe what you believe, what you think's best for the country, and why I think's best for the country. And I think that's with a lot of social injustices, racial injustices, etc. You need to sit down and speak to each other. That's for me one of the best ways, because then you see what's going on the other side of the aisle, what people who may not agree with your thinking, And I think that's kind of what we're seeing nowadays. We see with social media that we're in control of what we listen to, what we see, politically as well. So if you have a certain allegiance to a certain party or a certain politician, you're going to filter out everything else that you disagree with and only look at what they say because it suits what you believe in. But if you're not able to understand what other people are thinking, you're always going to have a certain idea of them in your head, but it may be very contradictory to what you think of them.
Yeah, and I think we're so binary on many issues. It's like, oh, are you Trump or Biden?
Exactly.
Why can't it be, well, I'm looking for a third way or another option? It was the same with Brexit in the UK. Most people seem to be very pro or very against, but one thing, they were damn sure about it. Where were all the people that were not sure?
To be fair, the reason that you are one way or the other is around the whole world. I think probably not in Pakistan, because Imran Khan has started a party 24 years ago and he's now the prime minister. But there's a two-party system. You're either one way or you're the other way. You can't be a third. There is no third way to go to. But could I? Yes.
Yeah, go on. Why is society like that? Why are we? Is that our natural way?
It is. It's. I think it might be something like good versus evil. Is it good or is it bad? It doesn't. This doesn't seem to be. Is it okay? Like let me pause this. Obama said, and I watched this today on Good Morning TV with Philip Schofield. I think it was him. He interviewed a man who stayed in Guantanamo Bay for 18 years or 14 years, sorry, for 14 years without even a trial. Now, Obama, when he came in first time, he said, whilst, was it McCain? Was it McCain? His rival at the time. He said that we're going to keep Guantanamo Bay open for 100 years. We're going to stay in Iraq for 100 years. Obama said, I'm going to bring the troops home in 100 days and I'm going to close Guantanamo in 100 days. Now, I'm not saying let the terrorists out. If they're terrorists, then hold them accountable, but give them a trial. Be fair, at least. Now, 14 years without a trial, and that man has just been freed. I think they made a movie about his story. But point is, the second time Obama came in, a simple question by the reporter should have been, Mr. Obama, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you said directly to us that you will close Guantanamo Bay in 100 days. It's been 5 years and it's still open. Why should we trust anything you say? Simple. And Guantanamo Bay is still open today.
Yeah.
So, there's something fishy going on because, these reporters go to university to study journalism for 15 bloody years and they can't even, muster up the courage to ask this basic of all questions. It just doesn't make any sense.
There's an image I should have got on the screen, the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. And you see the Republicans like a warship plane and it's dropping bombs, presumably on the Middle East. And then the Democrat plane is exactly the same, doing exactly the same thing, but it's covered in rainbow flags and Black Lives Matter and Yes We Can slogans. The so-called liberals get away with the same crimes that the Republicans are guilty of because they're dressed up in this woke, we are into gender equality, I'm for liberal policies, when really black people suffered just as much under Obama's administration as they did perhaps under George Bush before him and Trump after him.
Yeah, let's not forget that Black Lives Matter as an organization was set up under the first black president of the United States. So it was set up in 2015. And I think, like you're saying, bro, about how with the picture of the Democrat plane and the Republican plane is very true. And I remember having a conversation with someone about Trump and some of his policies, and and the guy I was speaking to turned around saying to me that, oh, but Obama was bombing the Middle East and stuff, so why is it when Trump does something it's this and that and he's this and that, and when Obama does it, oh, he's all right? And I turned around and said, I'm not a supporter of Obama, but and I criticize both. And I think like what you Omar, you were saying about good versus evil, and I think is true, and I think each side has that view as well. And I think if anything, this two-party system that we're seeing, I think it creates more division than if anything, because you have two very extreme sides, and you have people who choose that side, each side, and then you got loads of people in the middle, and they feel disenfranchised, and then that kind of leads to certain things after that.
Yeah, Omar, you agree?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. There is a two-party system, and it's going to stay a two-party system. You need some hotshot celebrity, and I don't think even Russell Brand has that charisma anymore, unless George Galloway, Russell Brand, and Chris Eubank form a party.
the ultimate ticket, yeah. They'd get my vote.
That's the only.
Chris Eubank has appeared on George Galloway's show, and I did phone up George once with the impression, and there's a video on the channel somewhere.
Yes, we've all seen that.
I'll share it with you guys. Yeah, I think he fell for it. I'll show you one last video. Enjoy. It's another example of what I think the woke agenda is sometimes about. I don't want to get too hateful and critical or misogynistic, but here's some characters that have decided to make themselves feel good about themselves, and let's just watch it and see what we think.
You're fat, you do not let that show. Hide it, hide it, hide it.
But a few years ago, she hooked up with this group, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, or NAFA. Members here are encouraged to look in the mirror and embrace what they see. Instead of weigh-ins, NAFA has yay-ins.
I yay ravishing.
I am halfway between sexy and lovely.
Oh, I yay sexy.
There is very much a health issue, though, that is attached to it as well. Would you accept that?
Weight is not a good predictor of health. I think that if we want to talk about health, we can talk about health, and I think it is important, but I don't think weight is a good proxy to do that.
I think we all understand the reason behind this, and yes, eating disorders like anorexia are very dangerous, and for a long time there was a lot of pressure on women to look a certain way. Maybe there still is. I think the pressure is going the other way. I think the fuller figure is back in fashion now. I know Omar's happy about that, but it's again going from one extreme to another. It's not good. I'm so sorry. I'm kidding, man. It's not good to be extreme, but we just seem to be, as human beings, inclined towards extremism in everything we do.
Well,
so I just wanted to share that. Yeah.
When you were also young, Julian, we
believe it or not,
remember when
there was rationing.
When women
couldn't eat enough.
When women would say to people, "Does my bum look big in this?" and then if it did, they would change their trousers or change their skirt. Today, it's the complete antithesis of that. They're saying, "I hope my bum looks big in this." Now, the irony. God knows how many women took their lives because they had a big backside, and now women are planting God knows what into their backsides to make them bigger. It makes no sense to me. You have to be proud. We have a mutual friend. You and I have a mutual friend who's very voluptuous. She met someone. She married somebody. Hopefully she's not watching. She married somebody not too long ago, and she seems to be very, very happy. And she married, ironically, a very slim guy. So there is somebody for everyone. You have to love yourself however you look. It's difficult sometimes. You feel like you're nobody. You feel you're ugly. You feel all these, negativity. But, you should be proud of how you are, how you look. And, you get to a stage, I think probably 35 or 40 when you just don't give a damn. I'm not sure. I'm not sure before that. If
it'll happen to you, Kamil. It'll happen to you. Yeah.
Oh, going back to your point about that, I was going to ask you: do you think society enables people to feel bad about themselves? Because I think when you look at the way society portrays women, whether it be Hollywood films, whether it be TV shows, whether it be billboards, do you think that enables or is a catalyst for women my age who may who may think the way they look is wrong, or it's not nice, or it's not with the times. Like you were saying, when you were at my age, that you look in a different way was more fashionable.
Yeah, I mean, I went through it myself. I hated the way I look, and not too much, but I did. I just disliked myself. Although I was looking back at my pictures, I was a superstar for my day. But the friends and society make you feel horrible. Your friends, you have some friends that you grew up with, and they're always this. In my day, there was something I'm sure Julian can relate. We had something called designer clothing. I'm not sure. It probably still is popular, but it was everything. Designer clothing in my time was everything. If you had a designer Ralph Lauren 200-pound jacket or shirt or whatever, you were the coolest guy in the whole school. And if you didn't have that, your friends made you feel like you were a born loser. And in reality, they were the losers. So there is a lot of pressure, but you have to love yourself. You have to be proud of who you are. You got to look inside yourself and find something and just be confident. I think being confident is the biggest thing. If you're confident, you don't care. You're just like, hey, I look like this, and I'm gonna own it. And even if you're big, I've had serious weight issues in my life, and it's changeable. You can change that. And I remember this guy I used to know from Halifax. His name was Naveed, and he used to come to visit one of my friends here. And when he used to come, he was a fat blob. No one liked him. He managed to lose weight, and he was an absolute superstar when a year later or so, and everyone was flocking to him. So, love yourself, and if you want to change, you can. And if you can change, they can change. Everyone can change.
Love it. I love the quote. Thanks, Rocky. PK is saying, if you shut down dialogue, you create extreme views. Cancel culture shuts down the conversation and is increasing intolerance in the name of tolerance. And Loyal John is saying, shouldn't punish women for being pretty. If anything, they should be rewarded. They should be equal, John. Women are equal. I've always said that.
I don't think anyone's punishing women for being pretty. I think we like women being pretty. Some women spend hours upon hours on themselves, literally. Men can barely wash their face. But we're talking like 2 hours, 3 hours. Probably just on their hair.
What men are like.
£500 for a haircut. So we're not punishing them; they're punishing themselves for being pretty.
Well, gentlemen, this has been an absolutely superb discussion. I want to thank Kamil for suggesting it, for facilitating it. I urge you all to click on the link in the description, which leads you to his channel. And I urge Omar there in the middle to make a channel. It's about time, Omar. We're waiting for you. Omar's a spoken word artist, by the way. You should check out. It's all on the internet somewhere, but he needs his own channel. But yeah, subscribe to Wahda. This video will go up on that channel also. When it does, please share it around, and we will do this all again. PK is saying confidence in yourself grows as you grow. I care not what others think of me, except my mum. God bless her, PK. That's absolutely lovely. Mother's Day was only a few weeks ago. Pete Asmill's asking, Julian, are you a pesky Brit? Well, I have a British passport, much like Kamil, but back home counts. Amazing stuff. Thank you again. Nice one, Age Case. There's another channel you lot should subscribe to, Age Case Docs, if you want to learn something, and give peace a chance is laughing. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll do it all again soon. Stay behind after assembly, you lot. We're about to cut the live transmission, but you will still be on here. I want to talk to you about something. This has been Lessons for Life, and we'll do it all again soon. We were here. We're gone. Laters.